Hola, estudiantes. It's Mrs. Santiago here, and today we are going to take the notes on the conjugations for ER and IR verbs. We are doing both charts on the same page in your OneNote. I'm in Chapter 4, ER and IR verb charts and practice. I'm going to eliminate the table of contents and make the page a little bit bigger. Let's read the notes at the top first. Use the video to complete the verb charts for both ER and IR verbs. Then complete the practice sentences below each chart using the verbs at the end of each sentence. Right? We're not using one verb. We're going to use the verbs that are different at the end of each sentence. Let's read this yellow note. Please note the present tense verbs always take the vowel for the nosotros form from their own ending. In other words, AR verbs are AMOS. ER verbs are EMOS, and IR verbs are IMOS. We'll keep that in mind as we work today. Let's start with the ER verbs. On the chart, it says ER verbs regular. The meanings are various. So the conjugation rule is, right, that they are a simple chop and add. So regular verbs, I'm just going to write regular, and then it is a chop and add. And we see that over to the side. What are we chopping off? Well, these are ER verbs. We're going to chop off the ER ending, and then we're going to add in the ER endings that are appropriate for each section of the chart. So yo always ends in O. Two is going to end in ES. El, ella, usted is going to end in one vowel, E. Nosotros, EMOS. And ellos, ellas, ustedes, EN. Okay. So we've got O, es, e, hemos, en. Now we have a list of verbs underneath the chart. We need to choose one to chart. Let's go ahead and chart beber. So I'm going to put beber in the blue box. Give the meaning. This is the infinitive, to drink. Now I'm going to do the chopping and adding. So when I chop my verb, I'm left with the root beb. So I'm going to write beb everywhere because it is a simple chop and add. Okay. Now let's go back in with the endings. Yo always ends in O. Bebo. Two, you have two big toes, ends in an S. Bebes. El, ella, usted, one person, one vowel. Bebe. Nosotros, os. Bebemos. Ellos, ellas, ustedes, any two or more people that does not include you. They ride in the van. Beben. Okay, let's just check that. Repitan. Bebo, bebes, bebe, bebemos, beben. Here's a list of the ER verbs. We've been working with all of them. Comer, responder, sorprender, beber, romper, toser, leer, correr, barrer, vender, comprender, and aprender. Practice. Fill in the blanks with the correct form of the verb at the end of the sentence. Use the chart above as reference. Remember, chop and add. I'm going to do the first one with you. Tú y yo blank los conceptos de la historia. So if we chop and add, we're going to make the mark to chop, and then we're going to add in the endings to match tú y yo. Now, as soon as I see y yo, I should remember that up in the nosotros form, it's also anybody and I. As long as I'm included, I'm up in the nosotros form. So tú y yo comprendemos los conceptos de la historia. Comprender is like entender, comprehend. The reason that we didn't use entender is because it is an E to IE stem changer. So we're just working with regular verbs. So we're going to stick with comprender. Okay, you have 7 more, siete más. Remember to use the verb at the end of the sentence. Aprender, correr, leer, toser, beber, vender, and comer. Muy bien. Now let's go over and work with the IR verb chart. IR verbs, regular, meaning various, because there's a bunch of them. Conjugation rule. Okay, we're going to say that they are regular, and it is a chop and add. Because these are IR verbs, we're going to be chopping off the IR ending, and we're going to add back in the regular IR endings, which are O, ACE, A, IMOS, N. Why am I putting a bubble around this? Well, if you notice, the ER and IR verbs are being learned at the same time because they have the same endings, O, S, A, N, but in the nosotros form, they each take their vowel from their original ending. So not EMOS, but IMOS. Okay, muy bien. Let's look underneath the chart and let's grab one of those verbs to put on the chart. We've got imprimir, vivir, dividir, escribir, decidir, confundir, abrir, compartir, subir, recibir, asistir, and añadir. Let's go ahead and do escribir. So let me just switch colors again. So I'm going to choose escribir. I'm going to write it up here. Escribir. The infinitive verb, it means to write. I'm going to chop off, and I'm left with escribe. I'm going to write that everywhere. Escribe, 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 escribe. Now I'm going to go back in and add my endings. Yo ends in O, escribo. Two, you have two big toes, escribes. El, ella, usted, any one person, one vowel, escribe. Nosotros, os, escribimos. Notice I've got the I, escribimos. And then ellos, ellas, ustedes, any two or more people, they ride in the van, escriben. Okay, if you note, I did put an arrow to remind you that it's IMOS here, and all the way over here, if you look, we've got E with an arrow on the first chart. Okay, one more time. The verbs are imprimir, vivir, dividir, escribir, decidir, confundir, abrir, compartir, subir, recibir, asistir, and añadir. Okay, we've got up on the chart. Escribo, escribes, escribe, escribimos, escriben. Practice. Fill in the blanks with the correct form of the verb at the end of the sentence. Use the chart as a reference. Remember to chop and add. Now remember the verb is changing. Subir, vivir, escribir, dividir, confundir, imprimir, compartir, abrir. Okay, again, let's do number one together. So, yo blank el volumen de la música. Okay, subir, I'm going to chop and add. So I'm chopping off the IR. It's a yo, so I'm going to add in the O. Yo subo el volumen de la música. Subir, remember to go up. Not only can people go up, but here the volume is going up. Muy bien. Okay, so you've got dos a ocho to finish. If you have questions, please let me know. Gracias.